My name is Teresa. I am 34 years old, and I have been working as a computer programmer for the past 9 years. I have a younger sister named Janice. She is 30 years old, married to a man named Luke, and they have a 5-year-old son named Caleb. Since I graduated from college, I have been living in the same small one-bedroom apartment. It is nothing fancy, but it is comfortable enough for me. The best thing about it is that it has a good and reliable internet connection, which is all I really need for my remote job. For the last 4 years, I have been saving as much money as I possibly could. I skipped vacations, avoided unnecessary expenses, and put away every extra dollar. My goal was simple: to save enough for a down payment on my own home. Last month, I finally reached that goal. I was so excited that I immediately called my mom to share the news. "Mom, guess what? I finally saved enough for a down payment." I told her. "That's wonderful, honey. What kind of place are you thinking of getting?" she asked. "Just a small one-bedroom condo," I replied. "Something easy to take care of and affordable." There was a short pause before my mom said, "Teresa, don't be silly. You need to think ahead. You should buy something bigger, at least 5 bedrooms." I was confused. Why would I need so many rooms? It's just me. "Well," she said, "you might get married one day and have children. It's better to buy a place you can grow into instead of moving again later." I laughed. "Mom, I haven't even been on a date in over a year. Marriage and kids are not something I'm planning right now." "That's because you work too much," she replied. "Maybe if you had a nice, big home, you could invite people over, meet someone." I sighed. We had gone through similar conversations many times. My mom has been hinting about my single life for years. The next day, I hired a real estate agent named Mason to help me find the right place. He showed me several beautiful one-bedroom condos that fit my budget and would have been perfect for my lifestyle. But every time I found one I liked, my mom had something negative to say. "Too small. The kitchen is outdated. That neighborhood doesn't have good schools." Her comments didn't make much sense to me since I don't have children, but she seemed determined to have a say in my decision. After about 3 months of searching, my mom started coming along to the property viewings with me. At first, I thought it might be helpful to have her there, but I quickly realized that she had her own ideas about what my future should look like, and they were very different from mine. I knew I probably shouldn't have let my mom take over the house hunt, but at the time it felt easier than arguing with her and listening to endless complaints afterward. Once she got involved, Mason, the real estate agent, started showing us much bigger houses, 4 and even 5 bedrooms. They were way more than I needed or even wanted. But every time we stepped into one, Mom would make comments like, "This would be the perfect nursery," or "Imagine having your in-laws stay in this guest room." She spoke as if my future was already mapped out: marriage, kids, and a busy household, even though that wasn't my life at all. One afternoon, Mason showed us a beautiful 4-bedroom house with a large backyard. It was gorgeous, bright rooms, a modern kitchen, and plenty of space. It was also far more expensive than what I had planned to spend. Still, because I had been saving so aggressively for years, I could technically afford the down payment. That night, I sat down and ran the numbers. The monthly mortgage payments would be higher than I wanted, but if I cut back on other expenses, I could make it work. When I told Mom I was thinking about it, her reaction was immediate. "That's my smart girl. You won't regret this. That house has everything you could ever need." I wasn't completely convinced. Deep down, I knew it was more than I wanted to handle. But I was tired of looking. And maybe, just maybe, Mom was right. What if I did meet someone? What if I started a family? Wouldn't I be glad to have the space then? So, I scheduled a second viewing. I was close to making an offer, but before finalizing anything, I decided to visit my parents in person to share the news. It was a Friday afternoon when I drove over. My parents still lived in the same house I grew up in, a modest 3-bedroom in an older neighborhood. I still had a key, so I let myself in, calling out as I stepped inside. No one answered, but I could hear voices coming from the kitchen. As I walked down the hallway, I realized they were on speakerphone with Janice. I was just about to say hello when I heard my name. "Teresa has no idea," my mom's voice said, sounding smug. We've got her convinced to buy that big 4-bedroom house, and then your father and I will move in with her. Janice asked, and you're sure she'll be fine with that? Of course she will, Mom replied without hesitation. What's she going to do with all those empty rooms? She's an old maid. She'll never get married. This way, she won't be alone, and we can give you and Luke our house. I froze in the hallway, my heart pounding, realizing the house search had never really been about me at all. I froze in the hallway, shocked by what I had just heard. It's the perfect setup, Dad said. We won't have to pay rent or any bills anymore. Teresa makes good money. She can handle everything. And we'll even have extra to send to you, Beck. So Teresa has no idea? My sister asked. Mom laughed. Not a clue. She always does what we tell her. Whatever house we want her to buy, she'll buy it. I've got her completely under control. My stomach turned. My own family was planning to use me, tricking me into buying a big house so they could move in and live off me forever. I quietly stepped back toward the front door, then slammed it shut loudly so they would hear. Hello, anybody home? I called out, pretending I had just arrived. In the kitchen, honey, Mom answered, her voice suddenly warm and sweet. We were just talking about you. Yeah, I bet you were, I thought, forcing a smile as I walked toward the kitchen, my mind still spinning from what I had overheard. When I entered, my hands shook slightly as I tried to look calm. Mom and Dad were sitting at the table, the phone lying between them. Hi, sweetie, Mom said, quickly ending the call. How's the house hunting going? Have you decided on that beautiful 4-bedroom yet? I'm still thinking about it, I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. There are a few things I need to consider before making such a big decision. What's there to think about? Dad asked. Your mother and I both agree it's perfect for you. I'm sure you do, I thought bitterly. The mortgage payments would be pretty high, I said aloud. I'm not sure I want to be that financially stretched. Oh, but it's such a good investment, Mom insisted. Property always goes up in value. I nodded politely and quickly changed the subject, asking about their garden while my thoughts raced. Throughout dinner, I smiled, nodded, and made small talk. But inside, I was replaying every word I had overheard, realizing I could no longer trust them the way I once did. I smiled and nodded at all the right times during dinner, pretending everything was normal. But inside, I was furious. My own parents were planning to live off me for the rest of their lives while giving my sister a free house. When I left about an hour later, I got into my car and finally let the tears fall. I felt betrayed, used, and incredibly foolish. How had I not seen this coming? Looking back, the signs were obvious. Mom constantly pushing for a bigger house, their sudden interest in my money, and the endless calls asking about my progress with the realtor. I drove home in a haze, my thoughts spinning. As soon as I walked into my apartment, I grabbed my phone and called my old college roommate, Natalie. She had moved to Oklahoma after graduation, but we had stayed close. Natalie, you won't believe what just happened, I said when she picked up. Then I told her everything I had overheard at my parents' house. Those manipulative jerks, Natalie said when I finished. You need to get as far away from them as possible. I know, I sighed. But I've been saving for 3 years. I really want to buy a place. So buy one, she said firmly. Just not where they expect. Buy a place here in Oklahoma City. It's beautiful. There are lots of tech jobs, and the best part, it's 1,500 miles away from your toxic family. I laughed, thinking she was joking, but she kept going. I'm serious. My real estate agent, Brittany, is amazing. I can ask her to send you some listings. You could do virtual tours, and I could check out any places you're interested in. The more I thought about it, the better it sounded. A clean break. A fresh start. You know what? I said. Let's do it. Have Brittany send me some options. The next day, Brittany emailed me a dozen listings for small houses and condos in Oklahoma City. I was surprised by how much more affordable they were compared to the area where I lived now. I could get a cute 4-bedroom house there for less than a 1-bedroom condo here, I thought, feeling a spark of excitement for the first time in weeks. That night on the phone, I told Natalie more about my plans. And Oklahoma City has the fastest municipal internet in the country, she added. Perfect for your remote work. While we were talking, my mom's name popped up on my phone. I ignored it, but she called back right away. Sorry, I have to take this, I told Natalie. It's my mom. Put her on speaker, Natalie whispered. I want to hear this. I answered. Hi, Mom. Teresa, why haven't you made an offer on that house yet? The realtor called and said another couple is interested, she said. There's a delay with some paperwork. I lied smoothly. The seller is having issues with the title. Well, tell your realtor to hurry things up. You don't want to lose this opportunity, Mom insisted. I'll see what I can do, I said, rolling my eyes at Natalie. Your father and I were talking, and we think we might help you with some of the furnishings for the new place, she continued. We have that nice guest bedroom set we never use. I bit my tongue, now fully seeing through her so-called generosity. That's kind of you, Mom. I'll let you know. After I hung up, Natalie shook her head. Wow. They're not even trying to hide it. I know, I said. And the worst part is, I almost fell for it. Over the next few weeks, Brittany, the real estate agent in Oklahoma City, showed me more houses through virtual tours. Then I found it a charming 4-bedroom cottage with a small yard and a dedicated office space. Natalie went to see it in person for me. Man, this place is perfect for you, she said when she called. It's on a quiet street, the neighbors seem friendly, and the internet speed is amazing. I made an offer that same day, and it was accepted within hours. Meanwhile, Mom kept calling to ask about my house, the one she had picked out for me. I kept making excuses. There's still a delay with the paperwork, I told her one day. The seller might be having second thoughts. It might fall through. That can't happen, Mom said quickly, sounding worried. Your father and I were just talking about how excited we are for you to have your own place. Yeah, I bet you were, I thought to myself. I signed the final paperwork for my Oklahoma City house remotely, with Brittany handling the closing details. The whole time, my parents had no idea what I was really doing. A week after closing on my Oklahoma City house, Mom called again. Teresa, your father and I have been talking, she began. We're planning to renovate our house soon, and we'll need somewhere to stay during construction. Here it comes, I thought. We were thinking we could stay with you in your new house when you buy it, just temporarily, of course. Of course, I repeated, forcing my voice to sound calm while gritting my teeth. And since we're on the subject, she continued, the renovation will be quite expensive. We were hoping you might be able to help us out with some of the costs. I almost dropped the phone. They weren't even waiting for me to buy the house they wanted before trying to get more money out of me. I'll think about it, I said, keeping my answer vague. That's my good girl, Mom replied, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. We knew we could count on you. After I hung up, I sat on my couch, fuming. For the first time, I saw the pattern clearly. Every visit with my parents ended with them asking for money. Sometimes it was $1,000, sometimes $1,500, but it was always something. They only called when they needed something from me. That's when I realized I had done exactly the right thing by buying a house far away from them. It was time to break free from their manipulation for good. With my Oklahoma City house officially mine, I knew I couldn't keep lying forever. Sooner or later, I would have to tell them. And honestly, I was tired of the constant pretending, even if they deserved it. I called my mom. I have news about the house situation, I said. Oh, she asked. I've made a decision, Mom. I bought a house. You what? She practically screamed. The 4-bedroom? Why didn't you tell us first? We could have helped with the paperwork. I'm sure you would have, I thought to myself bitterly. I'd like to tell everyone at once, I said aloud. Can we have dinner at your place this Friday? I'll share all the details then. Of course. I'll make your favorite lasagna. And I'll invite Janice and Luke too. They'll be so excited. I bet they will be, I thought. That Friday, I drove to my parents' house with butterflies in my stomach. I knew this conversation had to happen, but I was nervous. As I pulled into the driveway, I saw Janice's car already there. Mom greeted me at the door with a hug. There's my homeowner. I'm so proud of you, honey. Dad patted me on the back as I stepped inside. Let me get you a drink. This calls for a celebration. In the living room, Janice was sitting on the couch next to Luke. She gave me a tight smile. Congrats on the house, sis, she said, but she didn't look me in the eye. Dinner was awkward. Everyone kept making little comments about my new house, but no one directly asked me for details. It was clear they thought they already knew everything. After we finished eating, Mom cleared her throat. Teresa isn't the only one with news, she announced. Your father and I have some exciting updates too. Here we go, I thought. We've decided to give our house to Janice and Luke, Mom said proudly. We've already signed the transfer papers. Janice's face lit up, while Luke looked a little uncomfortable. My parents turned to me with expectant smiles. That's very generous, I said evenly. Well, they need the space with little Caleb, Dad replied. And, of course, you'll be moving into your new house soon. Speaking of which, when can we come see it? I took a deep breath. Actually, I have my own announcement. Everyone turned to look at me. I did buy a house, I said, but not the one you think. The room went silent. What do you mean? Mom asked, her voice suddenly sharper. I bought a 4-bedroom house, I explained. It's exactly what I wanted, small, easy to take care of, and with the perfect space for my home office. But we thought, Dad began. I know what you thought. I cut in, my voice firm. I heard you, Mom and Dad. That day when I came over a few months ago, I heard your conversation with Janice on the speakerphone. The color drained from Mom's face. What conversation? The one where you called me an old maid and said I'd never get married. The one where you laid out your plan to move into my house and live off me while giving your house to Janice. The one where you said you had me completely under control. Janice shifted in her seat, looking uncomfortable. Luke's eyebrows shot up in surprise. We never said, Dad began. Yes, you did. I cut in. Every word. And there's more. I went on, the words spilling out now. I know about your renovation plans. How you expected me to let you live in my house and also pay for fixing up your old house before handing it over to Janice. Teresa, you're exaggerating, Mom said quickly, trying to sound calm. We just thought it would be nice to help each other out. Family helps family. Except this wasn't mutual help, was it? This was you taking advantage of me, using me like an ATM, while treating Janice like the only child who matters. That's not fair, Janice said. Isn't it? Did you know about their plan to move in with me? I asked. Janice's eyes darted away. She knew. And here's the thing you all need to understand, I continued. You won't be moving in with me. Ever. Because the house I bought isn't even in this state. Dead silence filled the room. What? Mom finally whispered. I bought a house in Oklahoma. I'm moving next week. Oklahoma. Dad sputtered. But that's 200 miles away. Yes, it is, I said firmly. Mom started crying. Not quiet tears, but loud, dramatic sobs. How could you do this to us? We've already signed over the house to Janice. That was your choice, I said calmly. Just like this is mine. But where will we live? Dad demanded. I gestured around the room. This is a 5-bedroom house. Plenty of space for all of you. Janice shot me a nasty look. Clearly, she hadn't planned on having our parents as roommates. We'll find your new address, Mom said through her sobs. We'll come visit. No, you won't, I replied calmly, because I'm not telling you where I live. You can't cut us off like this, Dad shouted. I'm not cutting you off. I'm setting boundaries, something I should have done years ago. I stood up from the table. I've been your personal bank for too long. Every visit ends with you asking for money. Every call has a hidden agenda. Not anymore. After everything we've done for you, Mom cried. What exactly have you done for me lately, Mom? Other than try to manipulate me into supporting you for the rest of your lives. No one answered. I'm leaving now, I said, grabbing my purse. I hope someday we can have a healthier relationship, but that's up to you. Teresa, wait. Janice called as I walked toward the door. I stopped and looked back at her. You can't just leave like this. Mom and Dad need somewhere to live. They have somewhere, I said, gesturing toward her. Right here with you. Enjoy your house, Beck. It comes with strings attached. The look on her face almost made me laugh. She had been fine with their plan when she thought she'd get a free house out of it. Now that she was stuck living with them, she suddenly saw the problem. What about holidays? Mom called after me. What about family? I'll send a card, I replied, closing the door behind me. As I drove away, I felt lighter than I had in years. The confrontation had been hard, but it was necessary. For too long, I had been the family doormat, and it was finally over. When I got back to my apartment, I started packing with a new energy. In 1 week, I'd be in my new house, in my new city, starting my new life. But even as I packed, the calls began. First my parents, then Janice, then aunts, uncles, and cousins I barely spoke to. Suddenly, everyone needed to check in, and just happened to ask for my new address. After the 20th call in 3 days, I blocked my parents' numbers. Then came the emails, fake apologies mixed with guilt trips, and demands to know where I was going. I ignored them all. Moving day came faster than I expected. I had hired a small moving company to take my few belongings to Oklahoma, and Natalie had arranged for everything to be delivered to my new address the day after I arrived. I arrived in Oklahoma with only the essentials. I had sold most of my furniture and planned to start fresh. After doing one last check of my old apartment, my phone rang. The number wasn't saved, but I was sure it was another relative trying to get my new address. I declined the call and switched my phone to airplane mode. I wasn't dealing with any more family drama today. The flight to Lawton was calm, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. Natalie was waiting for me at the airport, smiling from ear to ear. She pulled me into a hug. Welcome to Oklahoma. Are you ready to see your new home? More than ready, I said. The drive to Oklahoma City was beautiful, with mountains stretching across the horizon. When we pulled up to my new house, my eyes filled with tears. It was perfect, a small blue cottage with white trim, a cozy front porch, and a maple tree in the yard. What do you think? Natalie asked. I love it, I said, wiping away a tear. It's exactly what I wanted. Inside was even better. The walls had been freshly painted, the kitchen was small but modern, and the second bedroom had built-in bookshelves that would be perfect for my home office. The internet is already set up, Natalie told me. I had them install it yesterday, so you can start work right away if you want. I hugged her tightly. Thank you for everything, Natalie. I couldn't have done this without you. That first week in my new home was both exciting and a little nerve-wracking. I loved unpacking and arranging my things, but part of me still worried my parents would somehow track me down and show up at my door with their suitcases. I jumped every time the doorbell rang, even though only Natalie and the moving company knew my address. By the end of the 3rd week, I had settled into a comfortable routine. I found a local coffee shop with great Wi-Fi for when I wanted change of scenery, joined a yoga studio down the street, and even met a few neighbors who invited me to a weekend barbecue. See? Life is better here, Natalie said when I told her about my new social calendar. She was right. Without the constant drain of my family's demands and manipulation, I finally had room to breathe and start building a life that was mine alone. I had more energy, more money, and more happiness in my daily life. Of course, my parents hadn't given up completely. When I blocked their calls, they switched to sending emails. Some were guilt trips. How could you abandon us after all we've done for you? Others were fake apologies. We're sorry if you misunderstood our intentions. I set up a folder called Toxic Family so those messages went there automatically. That way, I didn't have to see them unless I wanted to. One day, about 4 months after I moved, my Aunt Kayla, my mom's sister, called. Unlike my parents, Kayla had always been honest with me, so I answered. Teresa, how are you? She asked. I've been worried. I'm good, Aunt Kayla. Really good, actually. I'm glad to hear it. She paused for a moment. Your mother told me you moved out of state. I did. She's been difficult since you left. I let out a short laugh. I can imagine. No, it's not what you think, Kayla said. Your parents are living with Janice and Luke now, and it's not going well. I wasn't surprised, but I stayed quiet so she could continue. Luke and your dad never got along, and now that they're under the same roof, they fight all the time. Luke keeps reminding your parents they're guests in his house, and your dad keeps insisting it's still their family home. A small, petty part of me felt satisfied hearing that. That sounds uncomfortable. It is. And now Janice is pregnant again. That caught me off guard. Really?
Yes.
She's due in 8 months, and she's talking about turning your parents' bedroom into a nursery. I couldn't help but laugh. Let me guess, Mom and Dad aren't thrilled about that. They're panicking, Kayla confirmed. They've realized they have nowhere else to go. They were counting on moving in with you. Well, that was never going to happen. I know, Kayla said. For what it's worth, I told your mother she was wrong to try and manipulate you like that. I think she's starting to understand how badly she messed up. I appreciated Kayla's honesty, but I wasn't ready to forgive. Thanks for letting me know. I hope they figure something out. They're talking about renting an apartment, Kayla said. But they're worried about paying for it on their own. They managed before they tried to mooch off me. They can figure it out again. You're not going to help them? Kayla asked, though without judgment.
No.
I'm done being their ADM. They made their choices. Now they get to live with the consequences. After I hung up, I sat on my porch swing, thinking about what Kayla had told me. My family's big plan had completely backfired. They had signed over their house to Janice, expecting to move in with me, and now they were stuck as unwanted guests in what used to be their own home. I didn't feel guilty, not even a little. They had tried to take advantage of my generosity and independence while mocking me behind my back. If they were struggling now, it was because of their own choices. That evening, I walked through my little house, taking time to appreciate every room. My cozy living room with a soft reading chair by the window. My quiet bedroom with a handmade quilt I had treated myself to at a local craft fair. My office with its perfect desk setup and the fastest internet I had ever had. This was my home. Mine alone. No one could take it from me or move in without my permission. For the first time in my adult life, I felt truly free. Free from manipulation. Free from constant pressure. Free from being treated like a source of money instead of a person. As I got ready for bed that night, I thought about my family one last time. Maybe someday we could have a better relationship. Maybe not. Either way, I was fine. I had made the right choice for myself, and I didn't owe anyone an apology for that. My phone buzzed with a text from Natalie. Saturday hike? The fall colors are amazing right now. Absolutely, I texted back.
Can't wait.
I set my phone down and smiled. My new life was here, and it was already better than I had ever imagined.